Hey everybody, welcome back to Josh Levine Speaks and Why Don't You Want My Stuff? I am your host, Josh Levine, and I thank you all for subscribing. We've had a couple hundred new subscribers this month and we're really excited. Please share our page, and anybody that's into the subculture of antiques and collectibles and yard sales and estate sales and are just maybe you're downsizing parents, they might really enjoy these videos. Today, I'm going to be talking to the millennials, the Gen Xers, and Gen Yers, and telling you my biggest investment secret tip of the day. Now, first of all, I'm going to tell you, never take investment advice from me in stocks or bonds or anything like that. If you want a company to go out of business, have me buy one of their shares. I said, but when it comes to antiques and collectibles, I have a pretty darn good eye and I understand the trends of what's going on. Let me explain to you in the first place. You probably don't like antiques and collectibles and you probably don't want them. So why am I telling you to buy them and invest now? I'm telling you because the market has never been lower. And what do they say? Buy low, sell high. If you find anything in the world of antiques and collectibles interesting and you think it ignites a passion in you to collect something, or just it's kitschy and neat and it's old and antique, I suggest getting into it because I don't think the market, one, can be any lower, and two, this is just a cycle. This has happened since the dawn of time. Everyone that's a fatalist and says antiques and collectibles will never come back, no one's ever going to want them, which is usually your parents telling me when I'm doing an appraisal at their house that no one's ever going to want this stuff again, and all people want are a new app or a new iPad or whatever. It really does come back. You will be nostalgic, and when you're nostalgic and when your generation becomes nostalgic, they buy and collect, so therefore there's a demand. Right now there's a huge supply. The baby boomers are saying here's my stuff, and the millennials and Gen Xers don't want it. So what's happening is supply and demand. There's no demand, so the prices are low. So it is a buyer's market. But guess what? When you get some disposable income and your kids are grown and you got them out, they're in college, and you have an empty house and you've traveled and done what you wanted to do, you start to get nostalgic and want to collect, and you want to decorate with things that you remember your parents had or your grandparents had, and you start to remember or things you couldn't afford when you were a kid that you always wanted, etc. Something you were passionate about. This is when we all become collectors. I remember a woman that came to one of our auctions once, and she said to me, she had an office next to our auction house for about 3 years and thought, why would anyone come in here and buy this junk? And then she said one weekend she went out with her girlfriend yard sailing, and she said, oh my God, I'm antiquing. What has happened to me? And I said, you just got nostalgic, which means you got old, but not really. No. Anyway, we all get nostalgic. So I also want to tell you about the trends in the cycle. Okay, in the 1920s, the roaring 20s, nobody wanted antique. When I say antique at that time, they didn't want Victorian. What was the new rage was Art Deco, coming out of Art Nouveau. Art Deco had clean lines, minimalist, straight, rigid, and like very formal but straight. And now think about mid-century modern, what's hot now, that 50s, 60s, same thing, the trend in the 60s, everybody wanted new. After World War II, we were a burgeoning economy, when America was just, coming out of the war, our economy was booming and everybody wanted new. So, and Sears had it for us back then, it wasn't Walmart. Just so you know, and that's another thing, if you study trends in history, and people who look at Walmart and Target and Amazon, the holy grail Amazon, as like, oh my gosh, it's the be all end all, it's going to put all the mom and pop shops out of business. Same thing was said about Sears. Sears did the exact same thing. See how I go off on diatribes and I have amazing ADD? Well, anyway, I want to get back to buyer's market. So look at periods of furniture. Right now, you can go to auctions all across America and buy the most beautiful Victorian furniture for about 10 cents on the dollar for what we used to sell it for in the early 2000s. And it's because it's just not in vogue, but it will come back. So if you find yourself finding it appealing, buy it. Buy the finest examples, put them in your home. And it's like having a CD or a future scratch-off lottery ticket. It's just, that's where it's going to be. My parents used to sell Federalist American furniture in the 90s, and the prices were 10x what they are today. And also, my parents also usually made the mistake of keeping things past when it was hot because they believed, like most people, it can only get better. Well, it's not the case. I mean, when things are hot, you know it, take the win. But what I'm saying right now is if there's anything that moves you in antiques and collectibles in the world, buy it now while it's low. It'll be a better investment than anything you can imagine. You know, CDs, all that, etc. Everybody's looking for the next Google stock. They're all looking, everybody wants that get rich quick scheme, but guess what? If the long play on these antiques and collectibles, for you it might be 15, 20 years, and it might be you buy it now, you have your family, you raise your family, you have some antique furniture in the house, and then when you're ready to retire or just slow down 20 years from now, you sell that piece and you're going to make a profit. And worst case you did, you lived with it and you enjoyed it. So again, Josh from Josh Levine Speaks and Why Don't You Want My Stuff? I think you should be buying some of this stuff. So thanks again, I really appreciate it and hope you enjoy these, and please tell your friends to subscribe. It's not painful to subscribe to the channel, it doesn't hurt you at all, and I will not spam you. I will just let you know when we have a new video coming out. Thank you so much, I really appreciate it. Take care.